How's it going, guys? So, I've been having the S7 Edge for a little bit now. Kind of been sitting around using that, the Moto X, and the Draw Turbo. Depending on how I feel. Mostly the Moto X is because it's my favorite phone. The S7 Edge, I haven't really given you guys my thoughts on it. Most of my thoughts are pretty bad about it, but it's not a terrible phone. But when you factor in things sort like the price and also the amount of resources that Samsung has, it kind of is an uninspired phone, at least in my opinion. And there are a couple little things with it because at this point anybody can make a good phone. It's not hard to make a good phone. It is hard to make a compelling phone, to make a phone that gets you excited, to make a phone that kind of stands out from the rest. Really, the only one that really does that, and it does it with the software and other things as well, has been Motorola. They really do things. This is like the one phone that does things that other companies aren't doing still. Has been doing that for years now. Hopefully Lenovo doesn't mess that up. Samsung's the biggest Android manufacturer. They have tons and tons of money. They have tons and tons of resources. They're finally back to, I believe, making money now with the S7, the S7 Edge. They were very popular. But honestly, looking at all the reviews and hearing people talk about this phone, you rarely hear anything bad about it, but there are bad things about it. First of all, you can't use this without a case. Like, it does feel good without the case. Like, when I first held it, it felt good. When I first held the S6 Edge, I was just like, whoa. I told the guy, I was like, this doesn't feel good in the hand at all. And he told me to put a case on it. I'm like, why should I need to put a case on this phone? You still need to put a case on this one. It feels good in the hand, but the palm rejection is just horrible. You're gonna end up touching things on the screen without knowing. And sometimes you have like missed touches. Like, I've been trying to scroll before and it just stops scrolling because it stops registering my fingers. So I think there's something wrong with the palm rejection technology. And there are articles, and I'll link one below about that. And also the fact that this phone with a 3600 milliamp battery goes nowhere near the Draw Turbo, which has the same size battery and a slightly smaller screen. But still, with always on display, which is of course this right here, which we'll talk about. My phone I had like an hour and 21 minutes of screen on time. Now I know the international version is much better, so that's one of the reasons why I think this phone was rushed. So that's what I'll focus on. Reasons why I think this phone was really rushed to the market and it wasn't really ready yet. First one is right here, the always on display. Since Motorola came on with their display that comes on when you pick up the phone, and you can just tap on it and you get a notification. This is interactive. It's awesome. It's not always on. It's only on when you need it to be, because I'm not sure why anybody would need this to be always on. This is more like a watch than anything. Just get a watch if you need access to the time at all times. Also, this gives you no information. They'll tell you missed call. They'll tell you a message and things like that, but only on the stock apps. So it's pretty useless for any other app. So I found myself turning it off to get some more battery out of it, because with it on, battery life was just terrible. Let's get into the phone. And like I said, there's a lot of other little things. One thing too, if your notifications are full and you want to scroll up and just want to get rid of notifications real quick, you should be able to just slide from here. But because there's the clear and the notification settings here, it's kind of hard to. Like, when it's full, you can't just swipe over, so you have to like kind of do it twice. So just a little added extra thing, but it shouldn't be necessary. For instance, on stock Android, it doesn't matter where, even if you swipe up from here, you can still do it, but not on the Samsung. If you swipe up from there, like, it'll kind of like get you to you might tap this by mistake, or you just kind of get stuck here, or you have to go in the middle. It's just little things like that. I'm not sure like why are these really necessary. And as you can see here, this doesn't show up until you do that. So little things like that add a little bit of extra step that shouldn't be necessary, especially when you're trying to use this one one-handed. You might not have the reach to go in the middle sometimes, depending on how big your hands are. So a little bit of an inconvenience. This one right here is really annoying because I like to keep my notifications clear. I kind of left them there to just kind of show you this, but this SD card thing always comes back and it literally doesn't really tell you anything. You click it and it brings you to your file explorer. Like, okay, how many times are you gonna tell me that the SD card is for, you know, added memory? And I made another video about the whole SD card adaptable storage thing. That's another reason why I think it was rushed, because when you try to move an app to an SD card, it says that it does it, but it doesn't really do it. So that's like a glitch there. And the big one really is the fact that this phone is just poorly optimized. This phone lagged within the first day of me using it. I mean, this is a Snapdragon 820, 4 GB RAM and all that. It should not be lagging. It lags more than my Moto X and Droid Turbo, which have older hardware. Phones lag. Nobody can deny that. Any phone's gonna lag. iPhones lag, Androids lag, Nexus 6P lags. All these phones lag. Computers lag. No matter how powerful, it's gonna lag. But this phone lags more often than any other phones I've used in the past like 2 years, other than the LG G4, which was good at first, but then just got terrible later on. So with all the resources that Samsung has, I'm just wondering why they couldn't have come up with something more inspired than this. The S7 Edge to me is not as cracked up as it should be. I would say get the S7. I would have got the S7, but 5.1 is just too small of a screen size for me, so I went 5.5. But with the Edge screen, this 5.5 screen also feels very tiny. It doesn't feel nowhere near as big as like the LG G4 did, and compared to like the Moto X, it just feels just tiny comparison, because those curves, the Edge screens, it just doesn't help. It just makes the phone feel smaller, and it doesn't help with handling either, because you have to watch out not to touch the sides, and when you do that, it kind of, so your hands are not going to reach as far. So me as a one-handed user, this can be hard for me, and since you need a case to use it without it slipping out of your hands, or you know, if you don't want like fingerprints all over the damn thing, you're gonna need a case, and that kind of makes it even harder. But like I said in my other video, the Poetic case has been the best one. Added extra grip to it, made it easier to use, so that case definitely did a good job. But other than that, this phone is good. The camera is good. I haven't really had any other complaints. Of course, the speaker is terrible. Man, I hate watching videos on this thing. It's freaking terrible. But for an $820 phone unlocked, this is definitely nowhere near a good bang for your buck. I'd recommend something like the 6P, the Moto X Pure Edition. I think performance-wise, those are comparable to this, if not better. There's definitely less lag in them. There's less things you have to worry about. And the Verizon version, man, Verizon is really, really starting to piss me off right now. There's things that they're doing. Their service has been good for a long, long time. But now this phone has gotten like 3 updates, in which every update, it added like an app. It's adding apps through software updates. So they can talk about, oh, they're trying to clean things up. But, you know, I think Samsung did an update. The first update, Samsung added an app. Then the next update, Verizon added one. So you have 2 companies here that are trying to push things on you. Not a good look. So go unlocked. Get an unlocked phone. Don't support the carriers. Just buy an unlocked phone that will work on every carrier, and, you know, do what you got to do. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Let me know what your thoughts are on the S7 Edge. Do you have it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? I honestly expect more from Samsung. They have the resources. They have the manpower. You know, if Motorola can do amazing things like this, why can't Samsung? And see you guys on the next one.